esteemed gathering, both handsome brothers, beautiful sisters. Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah الذي نور العقول بالعلم ونور القلوب بذكره ونور النفوس بالاتصال بحضرة سبحانه وتعالى. والصلاة والسلام على الذي أرسله الله بالنور بمحمد صلى الله تعالى عليه وسلم وعلى آل الأطهار وأصحاب الأخيار وسلم تسليما كثيرا. أما بعد، فقد قال الله تعالى في القرآن الكريم: هل أتاك حديث الغاشية وجوه يومئذ خاشعة إلى آخر الآيات. صدق الله العظيم. وقال رسول الله صلى الله تعالى عليه وسلم: لا تقوم الساعة حتى يقبض العلم إلى آخر الحديث، أو كما قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. رب يسر ولا تعسر وتمم بالخير بك نستعين يا أرحم الراحمين. ربنا زدنا علما وارزقنا فهما. All praises are definitely due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Most High Mercy, the one who has illuminated the minds for knowledge, and the one who has illuminated the hearts for His remembrance. And we send abundant blessings and peace and salutations upon the one whom He has sent with the light of guidance, none other than Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam. We send peace and blessings and salutations upon His beloved and blessed family members and His blessed and noble companions. We ask and we beg and we beseech Allah Ta'ala, the Most High is He, to make it easy for us and not to make it difficult. We ask and we beg and we beseech Allah, the Most High is He, to grant us all knowledge and grant us all understanding. Ameen thumma ameen. My dear esteemed and beautiful gathering, inshallah, the topic of discussion today is quite lengthy, and inshallah I will try to sum it up as the minutes go by, inshallah ta'ala. Our beloved Prophet Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam mentions beautifully in a profound hadith. The hadith is saying, which is recorded in Sahih Bukhari, one of the great authentic books of a hadith compiled by Imam Ismail ibn Bukhari. Allah be pleased with him. The Messenger of God said, لا تقوم الساعة, that the hour, the day of judgment, the day of reckoning, the day of accountability, the day of standing will not occur, will not happen, will not bring forth until يقبض علم, until knowledge is snatched away. So the first phrase, the first part of this hadith, the beloved Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is mentioning to us from the signs, from the knowing that the day of judgment is coming, from understanding and from knowing that the day of resurrection is coming, from the understanding and from knowing that the day of Qiyamah is coming, is to recognize and behold that knowledge will be snatched away. So what does this mean? Bear in mind that there are different interpretations of this hadith from many different ulama. So I want you all to bear this in mind as well. You know, sometimes when people come and they listen to a lecture, they go back and say, this person say like this. You must open the minds. And this is the purpose of Jum'ah. This is the purpose of coming for Friday in the masjid weekly. So your minds can be broadened, can have a broader spectrum of things, of understanding and thinking. The beloved Prophet ﷺ said, from the signs of the hour, Judgment Day won't happen until you see these things, that knowledge being snatched away. And in another hadith, the Prophet ﷺ, I do not say knowledge will be snatched away from the hearts of the people. No. But it will rather be snatched away, it will be taken away by the death of the ulama, by the death of the scholars. And today we see this. We see many of the great and prolific and profound scholars of Islam have already passed away. Many are deceased. From the time of the Tabi'een come down to our era. Many of the great scholars have gone. Likewise, some of the commentators have mentioned that knowledge being snatched away is that people are not zealous. People are not keen in seeking sacred knowledge. Today, some of us, we sit behind our screens, we hold our phones, and we listen to other scholars throughout the world, and we think we are learning something. The Prophet ﷺ taught about ilmi, that knowledge, to seek knowledge is compulsory upon an individual. But what is the meaning of seek? Well, how you can sort something? By staying at home? If you want to earn money, what do you have to do? You have to get up, find a way, find a possibility, whether you have to travel, whether you have to use a vehicle, whether you have to use a bus. Even if you work at home, you still have to open a laptop, you have to open a book, you have to do something in order to make an earning. Isn't it so? But when it comes to sacred knowledge, we are lazy. We are absent-minded. And this is one of the means of understanding that the day of judgment is near. That the day of Qiyamah is close by the snatching away of knowledge. Because we see many Muslims today, they tell themselves, I will look at it on YouTube. This is not seeking knowledge. Seeking knowledge means you have to get up and go to the teacher. Today the teacher comes to the people. This is the sign of Qiyamah. This is the sign of the day of judgment. And then the Prophet ﷺ continues in the same hadith, and he says what? وَتُقْتِرُ الزَّلَازِلِ, that indeed they will have an increasement in earthquakes. One of the signs and one of the ways of being cognizant that to know the day of judgment will be coming is to realize the amount of earthquakes we are having. Just recently we had an earthquake at midnight out in the oceans, out in the nearby islands and countries. It was 6 point. When it reached it was 3 point. According to the study done by the meteorologists of Trinidad and Tobago, they give from the beginning of the year we had approximately 45 quakes. Yeah. We had approximately 45 quakes at the beginning of this year, 2024. And back from 2023, 2022, and 2021, there's approximately 200 and more. This is not opening our awareness for the day of judgment. The Prophet ﷺ took me through a zazalil, that indeed there will be an increasement of earthquakes. And there was 2 prolific scientists from Japan. They have mentioned, due to the reason from back in the early 70s until this era, because of the continuous and the increasement of the earthquakes from that time in the early 1970s till now, because of that happening of those quakes, but indeed this is causing the earth's core to demolish and to redirect itself, to go anti-clockwise. And when the earth core go anti-clockwise, what does this mean? It means the sun will rise from the west. And this is one of the major signs for the day of judgment. And these are non-believers. They disbelieve, they believe in science. And they've proven to us what the Prophet ﷺ is speaking the truth. If it were to happen that the core were to damage and reverse its cycle, then the world is set to go go in the opposite direction. And when the world started goes in the opposite direction, the sun from the west will rise. Where the sun is rising now? And then the Prophet ﷺ continues and he says, what? For indeed they will have a lot of chaos. وَتَكْثِيرُ حَرَجٍ. There will be a lot of chaos in the lands. And in another hadith, the Prophet ﷺ mentioned that there will be a lot of chaos in the land, and the companion said, Ya Rasulullah, mal haraj. What is that chaos? He says, al-qatl al-qatl. It is murder upon murder upon murder. Today in our lands, in our own country, what is the murder rate? Passing 500 now. Just this country alone. And our countries begin to be among the entire countries to have the most murder rate. Look at this. This is a sign for us to understand. The Prophet ﷺ حَتَّى تُقْتِيرَ الْحَرَجِ, until there be a lot of chaos in the land. And then the Prophet ﷺ al-qatl al-qatl. Some of the commentators of this hadith have mentioned this does not mean, according to the another hadith of the Prophet ﷺ mentioned by Imam Abu Musa al-Ashari, recorded in Sunan ibn Majah, where the Prophet ﷺ said, لَيْسَ بِقَتْلِ الْمُشْرِكِينَ. It is not the killing of the idolaters. It is not killing of those who associate partners with Allah, but rather al-qatl ba'dukum ba'da. It is the killing of others amongst yourselves, amongst the Muslims. And this is happening. This happened at the time of Hazrat Usman. Who you think assassinated Hazrat Usman? Muslims. Who you think assassinated Hazrat Ali? Muslims. Who you think assassinated Imam Hassan? Muslims. Who you think assassinated Imam Hussein? Muslims. And today this is how we and you are. We backbite and stab each other in the back. This is a type of murder. And the Prophet ﷺ said, what? Al-qatl al-qatl. Murder and murder. This is one of the signs of Qiyamah, the day of judgment. And then the Prophet ﷺ continues and he says, وَتُقْتِرُ, until there be even vast amount of trials and tribulations. Today, what is happening in the East, amongst our Palestinian brothers and sisters, in Syria, in Yemen, in Sudan, in Somalia, what is happening in all of these places today, the amount of turmoil and trials that they are facing. But not only these countries, throughout the globe. Is this not an eye-opener for us to understand that the day of judgment is near? The Prophet ﷺ said, indeed they will have a lot of trials and tribulations. Within our own homes, many of us go through tribulations. Let alone outside, amongst our neighbors, etc. The Prophet ﷺ mentioned in another hadith, he says that a man, he will wake up one day and kill his neighbor. So much so that he will kill his own relative, his own nephew. And this is us as well. The people, some of us, we wake up one day and we fight for land. We chop each other for land. This is happening long time ago. The Prophet ﷺ is speaking the truth. Many people are put into court with their own family members, with their own neighbors. Some people just put their feet into another person's land. There's a long case for that. Is this not a mind-opening for us? And then the Prophet ﷺ continues and he says, حتى يقتر مال فيكم فيفيض, until so much so that many people will have wealth in their hands. Say, from the signs of the day of judgment, many people will have wealth in their hands. Some of the commentators of the hadith have mentioned that this could be due to the time when Isa alayhi salam descend and fight with Imam Mahdi, and after when Imam Mahdi and Isa alayhi salam pass away, then the Muslims, most of the Muslims will have wealth in their hands. And today we see this. Many Muslims today are well off. They have money. Many Muslims today throughout the globe, they are well off and they have money, but they don't know what to do with their money. And this is one of the signs of Qiyamah. This is the sign of judgment. My dear esteemed brothers and sisters in Islam, we have to understand this and open our minds. For indeed, this is a trial time for you and I. And this is why our beloved Prophet ﷺ mentioned these signs. Why do you think he mentioned these signs? For us to increase in our iman, for us to increase in our faith. Because when we recognize the sign, for indeed we will be warned. We will become aware. When you turn it around the cliffs going Maracas Bay, etc., and you never saw the sign, for indeed this is when you falter, this is when you slip, this is when you slide. When you see a red flag, and you know some of us be crazy as well, we go into the water. This is a danger zone. But you see, we don't take signs properly. And this is why the Prophet ﷺ says, "Man adnama dhanban," whosoever commits a sin continuously, for indeed it will decrease his intellect. From the signs of the day of judgment, this is why a person from one of the signs of the day of judgment is that people's intellect will be diminished, will be decreased. This is why we have so much of mental problems today, many forms of anxieties and depression. Man atnama dhanban, whosoever commits sin over and over. Why do you think there's so much of mad people walking the street today? No remorse, not returning to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, continuing to sin over and over. Until we become pagal, until we become mad, until we become majnoon. My dear esteemed brothers and sisters, then this is a sign for us to be aware, to be cognitive. Where is our cognitive sense today? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says in Surah Al-Hijjah, He says, وَجُوهٌ يَوْمَئِذٍ خَاشِيَةٌ. On that day of judgment, faces will be fearful. Faces will be fearful of being placed into the hellfire. عَامِلَةٌ نَاسِبَةٌ. Those people, those laborers, those workers, those who are toiling in the land, and they forgot about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you forgot about the signs of the day of judgment, and you continue working. You continue doing what you have to do. And you forgot to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And on that day Allah says, وَجُوهٌ يَوْمَئِذٍ خَاشِيَةٌ. Your faces will be fearful, tear up for the hellfire. عَامِلَةٌ نَاسِبَةٌ تَصْلَى نَارًا حَامِيَةً. And you'll be flung into the hellfire. And blazing flames, تَصْلَى, you'll be flung into it. نَارًا حَامِيَةً, blazing flames. تُسْقَى مِنْ عَيْنٍ آنِيَةٍ. And your thirst will be quenched with poisonous leaves. Boiling water. Some of us, we have stomach problems, we will drink hot water in order for us to relieve ourselves. And even when we drink hot coffee, this is part of our biology, this creates an ease in the colon for us to use the washroom. So now imagine steaming, boiling water being poured down into your throat, into your stomach. What will happen? And this water, boiling water, is not the boiling water that you make your humming coffee with. No, to be 70 times 1,000 more than that. Allah says, your thirst will be quenched with boiling hot water. لَيْسَ لَا يُؤْمِنُ مِنْ جُوعٍ. It's not going to make you full. Samin is not going to make you fat. All the foods that you eat nowadays making you fat, making you become lazy, obese. No time to worship Allah. You sit on the couch, you put on Netflix, and that's it. Relax. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says what? لَا يُسْمِنُ وَلَا يُغْنِي مِنْ جُوعٍ. That food, that boiling water is not going to make you become fat. It is not going to stop your hunger. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in another verse, He says what? فَأَنْذَرْتُكُمْ نَارًا تَلَظَّى. I warn you all against the blazing flames. I warn you all against the hellfire. لا يصلها إلا الأشقى. No one will be, except they will be flung into the blazing flames. Except the wretched. Only those who will be flung into the flames will be the wretched. From whom? The disbelievers. From whom? The polytheists. From whom? The evildoers. Be wary, my dear esteemed brothers and sisters. الَّذِي كَذَّبَ وَتَوَلَّى. And those who belie and those turn away from the religion. We in our mind, we think we are doing something good. But in reality, we don't know how we are turning فَأَنذَرْتُكُمْ نَارًا تَلَظَّى. I warn you against the blazing flame. I warn you against the hellfire. Indeed, those who will be placed into it are the wretched. And those who lie and turn away from this religion. When we don't perform our salah, this is the way of turning away from the religion. The Prophet ﷺ, Al-Fawqu bayna al-mu'min wal-kafir as-salah. The difference between a believer and a non-believer is salah, is prayer. So when you don't perform your prayers, you are turning away this religion. Prophet ﷺ, as-salatu imanuddin, that the prayer is a pillar of this religion. Man aqamaha faqad aqama ad-din. Whoever establishes the prayer establishes the religion. فَمَنْ قَدْ حَدَمَهَا. Whoever leaves his prayer فَقَدْ حَدَمَ الدِّينِ. He has destroyed the religion. Why do you think Islam is becoming weaker and weaker? Salah is being demolished. Salah is being left out. You are denying what Allah ordered for you. The Prophet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Mutaffifin, verse number 7. He says, كَلَّا إِنَّ كِتَابَ الْفُجَّارِ لَفِي سِجِّينٍ. Behold, know that indeed the fujjar, the evildoers, the wrongdoers, the hypocrites, the polytheists, all of them will be inscribed or written up in a book known as Sijjin. Sijjun really comes from the word imprisonment. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continues to say, وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا سِجِّينٌ. What do you know about the Sijjin? What do you know about this imprisonment? What do you know about this prison? Kitabun marqum. Indeed, it is a scribe, a registered scribe for all of your wrongdoings, for all of your wrong actions, for all of the things that which Allah commanded and you did not do. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continues and says, what? وَيْلٌ يَوْمَئِذٍ لِلْمُكَذِّبِينَ. Woe to those who deny this religion. Woe to those who deny this religion. My dear esteemed brothers and sisters in Islam, with these few words, take heed, be cognizant of what is going on, what is happening in the world today. You don't want to be placed into the blazing flames. The signs of Qiyamah, the signs of the day of judgment are in front of you. It is for you to implement the most goodness, the most good actions in your life. This is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran at the end of this verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَإِنِّي فَأُصْلِحِ السَّقَرِ. He says that indeed on the day of judgment, mankind will say, فَقَدْ قَدَّمْتُ لِحَيَاتِي. Indeed, I shall accept more for my good deeds for my life. On the day of judgment, when mankind will see the terror, when they will see what is happening, the punishment, the imprisonment, the hellfire, the blazing flames, they will say, oh my Lord, يَقُولُ يَا لَيْتَنِي قَدَّمْتُ لِحَيَاتِي. He will say, oh my Lord, indeed I wish I could have put more good deeds before my life. Oh my Lord, I wish I could have put more good deeds before my life. And some of the commentators have mentioned the hadith whereby a man came to the Prophet ﷺ and said, Ya Rasulullah, Messenger of Allah, the day I'm born and I keep performing sajda with my head touching the ground until the day I die, would this be enough for me in the day of judgment? Prophet ﷺ said, indeed, on the day of judgment, when you are reckoned, even at that time you say, oh Allah, put me back down so I can do more good deeds. I will wish I could do more good deeds. The man asks, from the day he born, do it sajda, prostration, until he died. Would it be enough for me in the day of judgment? So even on the day of judgment, you ask Allah to put you back down but even do more good deeds. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us the most of this life. For indeed, this is the preparation for the hereafter. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us among those who do good continuously and to recognize the signs of the hour. وأقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات إنه هو الغفور الرحيم.